First, I just want to share remarks of my own. Democrats in Congress have officially shut down the United States government. House Republicans passed a nonpartisan, clean piece of legislation to extend current government funding until November 21st. But nearly every single Democrat senator voted against this bill. To be clear, this was the exact same bill that Democrats approved 6 short months ago in March, just adjusted for inflation. This is the same kind of clean funding bill that Democrats passed 13 separate times when they held the majority during Joe Biden's administration. So the American people woke up this morning and asked the obvious question: why is the government shut down right now? The answer is pure partisan politics being played by the Democrat Party. The Democrats shut down the government because President Trump and the Republicans will not force American taxpayers to pay for free health care for illegal aliens. America is $37 trillion in debt. We cannot afford to provide taxpayer-funded free health care to illegals who broke the law to enter our country. To put this all into perspective, the Democrats refused to keep the government open over health care to illegal aliens and now have jeopardized critical health care programs for American citizens instead. The Women, Infants, and Children program, community health center funding, Medicare treatment options, and other health programs are now all at risk because of the Democrats rejecting the clean CR. The most vulnerable in our country are being punished because the Democrats want to prioritize illegals over American citizens. And if Democrats actually cared about health care, they would applaud the actions taken by President Trump just yesterday in the Oval Office. He took a bold and massively popular action to improve our healthcare system. He announced the first agreement with a major pharmaceutical company, Pfizer, to lower drug costs for Americans. This is a historical achievement long sought by past Democrat presidents that only President Trump was able to get done. Also yesterday, while the Democrats were whining about health care for illegal aliens, President Trump signed a powerful executive order to supercharge American AI innovation and unlock cures for pediatric cancer patients in the United States. While President Trump took action to lower drug prices and improve the lives and the care of American children with cancer, again, Democrats are fighting to give health care benefits to illegal aliens. The Trump administration is fully committed to lowering health care costs and advancing policies that will save American lives. But right now, we need to keep the government open and funded. And individuals and organizations across the political spectrum, across the country, agree with the Trump administration and Republicans. The labor union leader, the Teamsters, Sean O'Brien, sent a very blunt message to Democrats over their destructive antics. He said American workers are not bargaining chips. Senators need to stop screwing around and pass the House-passed clean short-term funding bill. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce, the world's largest business organization, called to immediately pass the Republican clean CR, saying, quote, shutdowns are harmful to the economy, the American people, and our national security. And even Democrat Senators Cortez Masto and Fetterman acknowledged that their party is betraying the American people with this costly and chaotic Democrat shutdown. Enough is enough. Democrats need to stop sabotaging our country and holding the American people hostage in the country. Democrats need to do their jobs. The American people want the government reopened, and this is proven in a New York Times poll showing that 2 in 3 Americans say the government should not be shut down by the Democrats, even if their absurd demands are not met. The president and Republicans are working very hard to reopen the federal government. The vice president here has been crucial in this effort. We encourage all Americans across the country, call your Democrat senators and encourage them to reopen the government. That's what President Trump and the vice president want to do. And with that, I will turn it over to our great vice president, J.D. Vance.
Great. Well, thank you, Carolina, and good afternoon to everybody, and good afternoon to everybody who's watching at home. It's a tough act to follow, but let me just say a few things, then I'll take a few questions. Number one, Democrats say that they care a lot about lowering health care costs, and yet when the president took historic action to work with the drug companies to lower prescription drug prices, the Democrats did nothing to help us. In fact, we would have loved to have the Democrats helping us, but they didn't. They talk about doing something. They don't actually do the hard work of making it happen. What they have done instead is to shut down the government because we won't give billions of dollars to health care funding for illegal aliens. That is what has actually happened. To the American people who are watching, the reason your government is shut down at this very minute is because, despite the fact that the overwhelming majority of congressional Republicans and even a few moderate Democrats supported opening the government, the Chuck Schumer AOC wing of the Democratic Party shut down the government because they said to us, we will open the government, but only if you give billions of dollars of funding for health care for illegal aliens. That's a ridiculous proposition. Let me say two other quick things, and then again, I'll take some questions. Number one, we all understand that Democrats and Republicans have policy disagreements. The Democrats want to do things. Look, when Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries were in here a couple of days ago, they made some suggestions that the president was more than happy to say, yes, let's sit down and talk about how we can solve the health care crisis that we inherited from the Biden administration. But it's one thing to say that we should solve the health care crisis for Americans. It's another thing to say that we're going to shut down the government unless we give the Democrats every single thing that they want, which, as Caroline says, includes giving billions of dollars of taxpayer funding for health care for illegal migrants. That's ridiculous. You don't have policy disagreements that serve as the basis for a government shutdown. Let's have the conversation about how to fix American health care, about how to make health care more accessible. As the president showed, he's more than willing to act on behalf of the American people for this very reason. What you don't do is say, unless you do exactly what we want to do as congressional Democrats, we're taking a hostage. And the hostage, it turns out, is critical, essential services that the American people need. Caroline talked about some of it. Let me talk about some more. Our troops are not getting paid starting today because of the Chuck Schumer wing of the Democratic Party. We have people who require food assistance, low-income Americans who require food assistance, who will not get it unless we reopen the government, thanks to Chuck Schumer and his wing of the Democratic Party. We have flood insurance as we start hurricane season in the southeastern part of our country. That flood insurance is going to disappear because of Chuck Schumer and the far left of the Democratic Party. We need to reopen the government. Let's fix America's problems. Let's work together to solve them. But let's reopen the government before we have our negotiation about health care policy. That's what the American people demand, and that's certainly what the President of the United States wants. Let me make one final point. I think a lot of Americans are asking themselves, why did this happen? Why did the Democrats shut down the government despite, as Caroline said, voting on the exact same piece of legislation 6 months ago? And there are a lot of different spins that we can put on it, a lot of different answers that we could give, all of them true. One answer I already gave is that they want to give health care benefits to illegal aliens. That is true. They gave us legislative text that would have undone us cutting off health care benefits for illegal aliens. That's one of the things that they asked for. But the reality here, and let's be honest about the politics, is that Chuck Schumer is terrified she's going to get a primary challenge from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. The reason why the American people's government is shut down is because Chuck Schumer is listening to the far left radicals in his own party because he's terrified of a primary challenge. So I'd invite Chuck Schumer to join the moderate Democrats and 52 Senate Republicans, do the right thing, open up the people's government, and then let's fix health care policy for the American people.